You think you've seen everything when it comes to strange marriages? Think again, because what you're about to hear goes beyond fiction. Imagine a man willing to do anything for glory, even marrying a stranger to sacrifice her. But what he didn't know was that she wasn't human. She had returned from the dead. For him, here is their story. Hold on tight, because hunger will freeze your blood. A devouring ambition, a pact whispered in the darkness. Night was falling over the village of Zambura, and the first shadows stretched lazily along the packed earth huts. The wind blew low, laden with red dust and a cold smell. In a large stone house, set back from the common dwellings, lived Marcus, a man whose success fascinated as much as it worried. At 38, Marcus had become one of the most influential men in the region. He owned 3 businesses, a cotton warehouse, cows imported from the north, and a black car that only district chiefs dared admire up close. But behind his well-pressed clothes and polite smiles, there was a secret. Every month, at the new moon, Marcus disappeared. Some said he went to pray in the mountains, others whispered that he kept a woman in a neighboring town. But the truth was much darker. Marcus belonged to an ancient mystical circle, an underground order whose rites dated back to when men spoke to spirits and sacrificed souls to command the elements. At the center of this cult stood the Tree of Nothingness, a colossal fig tree hidden in the heart of the sacred forest of Bantora. It was said that its roots were fed by the blood of the innocent and that its branches carried the whispers of the damned. And Marcus wanted everything, not just wealth. He wanted power, the kind that allows you to be feared by men, respected by the dead, and ignored by the gods. That evening, as he knelt under the tree, a hoarse and hissing voice rose from the moss. Your time has come, Marcus. The final rite awaits you. Offer the blood of a pure one, a living virgin, united to you by the sacred bonds of marriage, and you will become a prince among the shadows. His eyes shone, he didn't hesitate. He knew that to enter legend, he had to defile innocence and seal his pact with the eternal. But what Marcus didn't know was that the shadow he was summoning had been waiting for him much longer than he thought. In the days that followed, Marcus traveled through the surrounding villages. His gaze cold, methodical. He was looking for prey, but not just any. She had to be alone, erased, unwanted by the world. A young girl whose disappearance would raise no dust. One foggy morning, as the sun was slow to pierce the clouds, Marcus arrived at the village of Nola, a few kilometers south of Zambura. It was a discreet place, without market, without noise. There, time seemed to move in slow motion. Children played in the dirt. The elders watched without speaking. And at the edge of a hill, in an old stone house covered with ivy, she appeared. Selina. She emerged from the mist like a forgotten memory. Her dress was simple, beige, slightly faded by time. Her bare feet seemed to barely float above the dust. But what struck Marcus was her gaze, deep black without the slightest light, like 2 bottomless wells. He felt something, a shiver, but he stifled it. She is perfect, erased, lost, abandoned by the world. He observed her discreetly. She lived alone. No parents in sight, no visitors, no friends. Some villagers spoke of her in low voices as a spirit. She never gets sick. She speaks little, she never laughs. She's been there forever, but no one knows where she comes from. For Marcus, it was a godsend. For anyone else, it was a warning. He approached her one evening as the sky turned red. He introduced himself, offered her food, spoke to her at length. She listened without smiling, as if she already knew what he was going to say. Then without even smiling, she murmured, "You want to marry me, Marcus?" He shuddered. He hadn't yet formulated the request. "Yes, that's what I want." She nodded. "Then all right, marry me, I'm ready." No emotion, no surprise, as if she had been waiting for this question for years. The wedding was celebrated in strange haste. Marcus, usually meticulous and controlling, wanted everything to happen quickly, very quickly. He chose a date, a tailor, a priest, and warned a handful of guests. He claimed a thunderbolt love, a celestial crush, but in his heart, he saw only the Tree of Nothingness and the promise of power. As for Selina, she asked no questions, not about the date, nor about the guests, nor about the rites. She simply obeyed with that strange docility, as if she already knew every second to come. And yet, as the ceremony approached, the signs multiplied. The day before the wedding, the priest in charge of blessing the union fractured his leg falling on a staircase that was nevertheless solid. Marcus's tailor, a man renowned for his seriousness, involuntarily sewed an inverted cross inside his white shirt. A black crow with red eyes came to perch on the roof of Marcus's house at the exact moment he was trying on his suit. Marcus felt discomfort, cold sweat, but he refused to listen to his instinct. I'm 2 fingers away from power. It's just chance, just destiny testing my determination. The wedding day arrived. The sky was gray. No birds sang. A strange heaviness weighed on the air as if even light hesitated to bless this union. Selina appeared dressed in a pearly white cloth with silver reflections. Her very thin veil let her features show through, still impassive, still as calm. But a new light shone in her eyes, something ancient, unfathomable. The priest hesitated for a moment upon seeing the bride. Then, reconsidering, he pronounced the sacred words and the union was sealed. When they exchanged rings, Selina slowly raised her eyes to Marcus and whispered to him, "You have no idea what you just invoked." He looked at her, startled. "What did you say?" "I love you," she replied, smiling for the first time. But behind that smile, there was vertigo, a fall, and Marcus had just fallen. 3 days after the wedding, Marcus took Selina to a secondary house on the edge of the Bantora forest, isolated, discreet, perfect for the final act. He had never killed with his own hands. He had always left dark things to others, to his intermediaries. But this sacrifice, he had to do it himself. It's the condition, the ultimate test, the one that will make me king in the invisible world. The night was heavy. The air smelled of storm, but no lightning yet tore the sky. Selina, silent, followed him into the main room, where an improvised altar had been hidden behind a curtain. Candles, talismans. She looked at him without blinking. "Sit down, Selina, I must purify you." She nodded. "Aren't you afraid?" "It's you who should be afraid, Marcus." He swallowed. A strange unease set in. A feeling of being watched. The walls seemed to breathe. The shadows moved for no reason. And suddenly, the candles all went out at the same time. Marcus stepped back, then shouted, "Who's there?" A silence, then a voice, the same as that of the tree, murmured, "You dare to raise your hand against a soul that is no longer yours." He turned to Selina, but she was no longer sitting. She was literally floating. Her feet no longer touched the ground. Her eyes had darkened, become entirely black. Her arms open, her hair rose as if carried by an invisible wind. Selina spoke, but her voice was no longer hers. "I am she who cannot be sacrificed, for I have already crossed the veil. I was born in death and returned to watch." Marcus screamed, tried to run, but the door had closed, melted into the wall. A laugh began to resonate, deep, chilling, coming from under the earth. The walls bled, the talismans cracked, the symbols on the altar turned over as if refusing to cooperate. Selina approached. "You wanted to offer me as an offering? Very well. But it's you they're demanding, Marcus. It's you who is the real sacrifice." And she extended her hand. An invisible arm grabbed him by the throat. He suffocated, falling to his knees. Breathless, heart pounding. Then everything became silent again. And when he reopened his eyes, Selina had disappeared, but her ring was still on his finger. The silence after Selina's disappearance was not a soothing silence, it was an oppressive void, a sonic abyss. Every step Marcus took echoed in the house like a condemnation. He didn't dare move for several hours. His body still trembled. Had he dreamed? Was he the victim of a hallucination? Or had he just married a vengeful spirit, an entity he should never have approached? The next day, Marcus returned to his home in the capital, but his face was unrecognizable, pale, marked as if he had aged 10 years in one night. He locked himself in his room, he no longer ate, no longer slept, and above all he was no longer alone. Noises, whispers, footsteps, children's laughter, then infant cries. Every night, Selina appeared in different places, sitting on his office chair, standing at the foot of his bed, or in the mirror, staring at him without saying anything. And when he screamed or closed his eyes, she immediately disappeared. But always, the ring remained on his finger. Impossible to remove. He tried everything. Soap, oil, saw nothing. The ring burned him sometimes as if it reacted to his dark thoughts. One desperate evening, he went back to see the Marabout who had once told him about the tree of nothingness. But the old man received him with a grave look, almost sorry. You have crossed a limit that no spirit forgives. I want her to disappear, Marcus shouted. I want her to leave me in peace. You took her for an offering, but she was a test, and you failed. Marcus felt his legs give way. Who is she really? Selena was not born of this world. She is an ancient spirit, a forgotten guardian. Her role was to test the heart of those who covet power through blood. She is neither angel nor demon. She is the weight of truth. But why me? Because you dared to lie before the invisible. That night, Marcus dreamed. But it wasn't a dream. He found himself at the foot of the tree of nothingness. The branches were full of faceless silhouettes, and in the center Selena seated, dressed in a black robe woven of shadow. She looked at him with infinite sadness. You were not destined to die, Marcus. Then why all this? Because you had to know what fear is, the void, and the price of ambition. Then she faded and the tree burst into flames in absolute silence. Marcus woke up in sweat, but this time something had changed. He was no longer afraid, he was no longer angry, he was lost. Everything he had built was collapsing. His business partners avoided him. His name appeared linked to a series of occult affairs. Even his mother refused to see him. Selena's curse was not loud. It was slow, deep, an erosion of the soul. So he did what he had never done. He returned to the source, to Selena's native village. There, he discovered things he could never have imagined. Elderly women recognized him. You are Selena's husband, aren't you? Yes, but she's not human, is she? Selena died 17 years ago, on her wedding day. She had been promised to a man who wanted to deliver her to the same spirit, the tree of nothingness. Marcus stepped back, heart pounding. And what happened? She preferred to throw herself into the river, and since then she returns every generation to test the next Marcus. He understood everything. He was just a link in the chain, one name among others. But that evening, under the stormy sky, Marcus made a gesture that no one expected. He returned to the forest house, he lit the candles, he reconstituted the altar, and he called her. Selena, I'm not coming to defeat you or to flee from you. I come to apologize, to understand, to free you if I can. And she appeared, silent. She was still floating. But this time, she was crying. Her tears were black, heavy as lead. You are the first to ask for forgiveness. You are the first to see beyond the veil. So what do you expect from me? Let me go. Free me from this loop. Give me back what I lost. My peace. Marcus removed the ring from his finger. This time, it slid without pain. He placed it on the altar. Selena smiled for the second and last time, and in a breath, she disappeared for good. Since that day, Marcus lives far from business, far from noise. He writes, he talks to young people, he teaches that every power seized in the shadows has a price to pay, and that sometimes that price comes from beyond. This story is not just a supernatural tale. It's a modern parable about ambition, the weight of actions, and justice that surpasses human laws. Marcus learned too late that you don't play with the invisible. And you, would you have survived Selena? And you, what would you do if the person you love wasn't really human? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe for more strange and mysterious stories. Like, share, and activate the bell to miss nothing. See you soon for a new story, where reality flirts with the impossible.